Have you ever felt like that someone wasn't treating you fair and that maybe you got the short end of the stick on some deal and felt cheated? Of course, we all have felt that from time to time. And today I'm going to talk about how you react to these situations when they come up. So many of you know that earlier this month I did publish a book, and it's Halftime Adjustments, Making Game-Changing Moves in Faith, Family, Finances, and Beyond. Now, I intentionally kept this book small. I wasn't writing to try to impress anybody with number of pages, number of words. What I tried to do was I made the book long enough to cover the topics, but short enough to keep it interesting. And also to allow room for the workbook. So every chapter has a workbook at the end. So from time to time, my goal was I'm not going to put every story, every example that comes to my mind about every area and every chapter. But I am going to go deeper in videos from week to week and maybe share some things that could have gone in the book but would have made it a lot longer and may have made it not as interesting if you're trying to read it all at once. So one example, I'm going to go and tell you a story, a true story. And this was probably where I made one of my largest halftime adjustments in life. I won't say it was the largest, but it was one of the largest. It's up in the top 3, I'd say. But I had started a real estate firm, and I was still teaching in the school system. And I would be approached by administrators, by teachers, because I traveled to different schools. And I was always being asked questions about real estate because people knew that we had a real estate company. So I would answer their questions. I wouldn't shun them. But I did, on one occasion, I get an email on a Friday. And it was from someone at the county office and in the school system I was working at. And they wanted to know if I could come by Monday and meet with them at 3 o'clock. I said, sure, I'll see you at 3 on Monday. I didn't stress over it over the weekend. I was given zero idea of what we were meeting about. So Monday rolls around. I pull into the county office parking lot. I park my car. And I just say a prayer before I get out. And I'm like, God, you know what this meeting's about. I have no idea what I'm going in here and going to meet with 2 people at the county office level. And I said, whatever this meeting's about, just let my reaction be a good reflection of you. Because I, like most people, if I feel disrespected or when you get embarrassed, sometimes we tend to get in the flesh and react in a different way. So anytime I'm going into a situation and I don't know what I'm going to be facing, I take time to pray and ask my Heavenly Father to lead and guide me into this. I haven't always done that. When I was younger, I didn't do that. Got into a lot of trouble, made some bad decisions. So I've learned from those. So I go into this meeting. We get in there, and it was people I had worked under for years. And I like both the people, still do to this day. So we're sitting there, and they're like, well, Coach, we've had 2 reports. We had a report saying that you were on your cell phone at one of the schools during the school day. And the other report was that you missed a class that you were supposed to go and work with some kids, and you knew you was going to miss the class, so you gave the teachers some gift cards and told them you'd see them the next week. And when they asked me these things, I looked them in the eye and I said, yeah, I did those things. And I knew I wasn't in the right, but I also wasn't going to lie about it. So I said, yeah, I did those things. And there was this awkward silence. And I'm sure, when they call people in, typically they get some pushback, some resistance. People probably try to lie and weasel out of what they've been turned in for doing. Well, I wasn't going to do it because I knew I'd done the things that they asked me. And I said, so, well, what do I need to do? You need me to resign? And they're like, oh, no, we're not saying you need to resign. But maybe you would consider a different position in the school system where you maybe don't have as much freedom as you do with the job you've got now, because you even when you're traveling between schools, you can't be on your cell phone for any kind of personal use. And I sat there and I listened, and I remembered what I had prayed, and I'm like, Father, help me control my emotions, because in the flesh I wanted to say, okay, so you're going to sit here and talk to me about this, assuming that I believe that you and every other teacher and administrator in the school system's never once taken a personal call while they were on school time. But I didn't say that. I'm like, because they know it. They have to lay down and sleep at night. It'd be like me accusing somebody of doing something that I do all the time. Anyway, so I let it go, and we had a good conversation, and they even told me, they said, well, there's really not much else to say because you've admitted to doing it. He said, normally we would have to investigate, but there's no need in investigating. And being fully transparent, he said, if we did go investigate, I feel like there's two things we would hear. Neil's a nice guy, and he's got a real estate company. And he's like, everybody should know you've got a real estate company. And I had to respond, and I did it as nice as I could. I said, well, do you think the ad that we purchased in the State of the Schools with my picture of me and my wife and our company name, do you think that that's how a lot of people might know about it? Because that was to help the school, by advertising and paying to be in that. And he agreed, yeah, you probably got a digital footprint out there, but you just can't talk to anybody about it. And so I let it go. And then the other administrator proceeds to say, well, Neil, the hard part now is just the wait, because, we have to report this to PSC, and, it's just having to wait to see what they're going to say. And I told this person that I still to this day, I respect her highly. She was an excellent administrator. I loved working under her at one of the schools I was at. I said, well, please don't think I'm taking lightly what you guys are saying, because I realize this is an important issue. I said, but also know I'm okay. The wait's not going to bother me. So I'm not going to worry about it. So I really hope you don't worry about it. You turn it in, report what you need to, and then whatever happens, happens. I said, if I need to go home and give myself a raise and go on and teach or build my company, I can do that. I don't really pay myself right now much. And, so we kind of let it go at that. They gave me some options of maybe other positions in the system. But I've learned you don't ever answer a question until you've had time to think about it and pray about it. So I took the weekend, or no, not even the week. I took about 2 days. I went back. I met with the administrators directly over me, and I just let them know, you know what? I met with so-and-so and so-and-so. I want to apologize to you because the reports was reported to you and you had to pass it on to them. So I'm sorry I put you in that position, but I want to thank you for the time I've had here. And I basically told them I would not be signing a contract in the fall. It was time for me to move on, because I wasn't going to live worried about every time my phone rang if somebody's trying to watch me and look at me, right? Now, I said all that to say this. That's not to put anybody down, because I'm getting to the fun part of the story. Those of you that have, if you've read the Bible at all and you know some of the stories in there, you know the story of Joseph. And Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. And they meant evil for David. However, God meant good for David. And that was one of the things I did say to that administrator that said about the wait. I said, I'm not going to worry about the wait, because every time something happens in my life and I think, oh no, what's going on? It always ends up being for my good. And I said, and this meeting we had here today, it's for my good. I said, now I don't know right now while we're sitting here at the table, because you guys just asked me these questions. I'm not sure what the good is, but I know that it is for my benefit that we had this meeting. And then when you fast forward, God has showed me many times how that meeting was the little kick I needed to make a huge halftime adjustment and move on with life. He has blessed our company. The company's grown. And this is in no way, I'm not bragging about this point I'm going to make, but like the two administrators I met with that day, I typically make as much every year as the two of them did combined, and I do way less. And I wear t-shirts and shorts most of the time. I work from home a lot. I make these videos. But sometimes we need that little kick in the butt. We need someone that we feel like they're wronging us, or they're picking on me. Everybody else does it. Why are they picking on me? But I didn't take that approach, because I first went to my Heavenly Father before the meeting and prepared myself spiritually for what was coming, even though I didn't know what was coming. And as usual, our Heavenly Father never let me down. He showed me that He had us, and the plan was for me to move forward in a different direction where I have the freedom to talk about Him. I don't have to worry about being in a school system and getting the school system in trouble because I'm sharing Christ with someone. I did it all the time. I'll admit it. I mean, it wasn't like I was doing it trying to get fired, but I wasn't afraid, because that's the most important thing we can do. There's many things in this life we can do, but there's only one thing that's necessary. There's only one thing that's important, and that's sharing Christ with people. So back to the point for today. The point was, we are to take things that happen to us in life and don't think it happens to us or against us. Think, is this happening for me? Is this an opportunity for me to make a decision that's going to make my life better, my family's life better? Because you never know what's going on. I mean, there's been so many times through life where things have happened to me and it has pushed me to the next level in an area that I didn't see coming. And I've got more stories. I've got to cut this video short because I know people won't watch it if it gets too long. However, I've got some more examples to come, but I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you take time to look back, because you've already got these experiences. There's already been things that's happened to you, and maybe you just hadn't recognized that, you know what, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at today with this person, or with this job, or with this home, or I wouldn't be going to this church, or I wouldn't be a part of this group or that group. A lot of things are happening around us all the time, but look for the opportunities in those things. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next episode.